Did Norway's already perfect economy just get better? With the discovery of $24 trillion worth of phosphate, Norway could soon become the wealthiest country on Earth. But here's the kicker. This newfound treasure could either propel the country to new heights or end in disaster. Think that's unlikely? Well, history begs to differ. In today's video, we'll explore how Norway's incredible new discovery might reshape not only its economy, but the world. We'll also look at the hidden risks that come with such wealth, and whether Norway can avoid the pitfalls that have trapped other resource-rich nations. Let's dive in. Norway's economy has long been a model of success. Despite a small population of just 5.5 million people, Norway consistently ranks as one of the wealthiest nations in every measurable way. Its citizens enjoy a high standard of living, free education, universal health care, and an enviable work-life balance. But how did a country known mostly for fishing become a global economic powerhouse? The answer lies beneath the sea. In the late 1960s, Norway struck oil in the North Sea, which led to a transformative economic boom. Instead of squandering that wealth, the Norwegian government took a unique approach. They created a state-owned oil company, now called Equinor, and mandated that 50% of profits go directly back to the people through the state. This was a game-changer, allowing Norway to build the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world, currently valued at over $1.6 trillion. To put that into perspective, this fund holds enough money to give every single Norwegian citizen roughly $300,000. But the story doesn't end there. Norway didn't stop at oil. They built a robust economy that diversified beyond fossil fuels. And now they've uncovered another hidden treasure: phosphate. This isn't just any ordinary resource. Phosphate is a key component in fertilizers, electronics, batteries, and even solar panels. And with the world moving toward renewable energy, phosphate is about to become even more critical. Norway's recent discovery of 77 billion tons of phosphate in the country's north effectively doubles the global supply, making Norway a dominant player in a strategic market. Now, before you start thinking that Norway's rise to superwealth is inevitable, it's important to consider the risks. Historically, countries that strike it rich with natural resources often end up worse off in the long run. Venezuela, once Latin America's wealthiest nation, is now a cautionary tale of how oil wealth can turn into a curse. And even though Norway has managed its resources well so far, this new discovery introduces fresh challenges. One of the biggest risks is global geopolitics. Phosphate is considered a strategic raw material by major powers like the US, China, and the EU. These nations rely heavily on phosphate for critical industries, and they aren't going to let Norway dominate the market without trying to secure their own access. In fact, Morocco, the only other major phosphate producer, might see its economy devastated as Norway begins to extract and export the resource. Nearly 25% of Morocco's economy is tied to phosphate exports, and if prices drop due to Norway's new supply, Morocco could face severe economic hardship. So how will Norway navigate this delicate situation? Well, we can look to the country's handling of oil for clues. Norway didn't become one of the richest nations in the world by luck alone. It was their strategic foresight and disciplined approach to managing resources that set them apart. Instead of spending oil profits frivolously, Norway invested its wealth into the government pension fund, which, as we mentioned earlier, now holds $1.6 trillion. This fund was designed not just to benefit current generations, but future ones. The philosophy behind it is simple. Oil won't last forever, and when it runs out, Norway needs to have a safety net in place. Now, it's likely that the same strategy will be applied to phosphate. Early indications suggest that revenues from phosphate extraction will be funneled into the same sovereign wealth fund. But this raises a fascinating question. How much is too much? With the potential to triple the value of the fund over the next decade, Norway could soon find itself in uncharted territory. What happens when a country becomes so wealthy that it no longer needs to rely on traditional forms of economic growth? There's also a cultural factor at play. Norway has a strong tradition of egalitarianism, where wealth is distributed relatively equally across the population. This is one of the reasons why, despite having no official minimum wage, most Norwegian workers earn high salaries. But here's where things get interesting. Even though Norwegians could theoretically earn more by moving abroad to countries with lower taxes and higher wages, they generally choose not to. The reason? It's largely cultural. Norwegians value their quality of life more than the pursuit of extreme wealth. So while the country could easily cut taxes and increase spending, that's simply not how they operate. And this ties into one of the most compelling aspects of Norway's economy: its ability to resist the temptations of fast money. In many resource-rich nations, sudden windfalls lead to rampant corruption, inequality, and economic instability. But Norway has so far avoided these pitfalls by taking the long view. Instead of distributing wealth immediately, they've chosen to invest it for the future, ensuring that even when their oil or phosphate runs out, the country will remain stable. Now let's talk about the potential impact on global markets. Phosphate is not just important for renewable energy, it's vital for feeding the world. As the global population continues to grow, the demand for phosphate-based fertilizers will increase. This means that Norway's newfound resource could play a critical role in supporting agricultural production worldwide, but it also gives Norway immense power. In times of scarcity, countries that control strategic resources often find themselves in a position of leverage, sometimes to the detriment of global stability. This brings us to the final question. Will Norway's perfect economy truly get better, or are they facing a new set of challenges that could unravel their success? Based on Norway's track record, it's likely that they will manage this phosphate discovery with the same prudence that has characterized their handling of oil. But with the added complexity of geopolitics, shifting global energy markets, and the ethical dilemma of how much wealth to share with the world, the road ahead is far from straightforward. Norway has shown the world how to manage natural resources responsibly, but with this new discovery, they're entering uncharted waters. The stakes are higher than ever, and the decisions they make in the coming years could reshape not only their own economy, but also the global landscape. So what do you think? Will Norway's careful management of their resources allow them to thrive even further, or could this be the beginning of an unexpected downfall? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to StatStream. We explore the science behind decision-making and how economies, markets, and the world really work. And if you're curious about how other countries are managing economic challenges, check out our video, Italy's Economic Struggles, Can It Bounce Back Again?, for a deep dive into another fascinating economic story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.